instructions for module 1. This is a test which will be evaluating your knowledge about language and background to language learning and teaching. Okay, so remember this is the title of the test: language background to language learning. It's module 1. It lasts for about 1 hour 20 minutes. Okay, what are the instructions for you as a candidate? Do not open this question paper until you are told you to do so. Okay, remember this is like the Cambridge exams. You cannot go further if you are not indicated. Okay, write your name, center number, and candidate number on your answer sheet if they are not there. So remember, you need to fill all the information required. Read instructions for each part of the paper carefully. Answer all the questions. Remember, do not leave any space in blank. You need to complete all the spaces. Read instructions on the answer sheet. Mark your answers on the answer sheet. Okay, pencil. You must complete the answers sheet within the time limit. So you only have 1 hour 20 minutes to complete the complete answer sheet. Okay. At the end of the test, okay, hand in both the question paper and the answer sheets. Okay, remember that in this test, Francisco, you're going to be evaluated within 80 questions. Okay, no more, no less. And in each question counts as 1 mark. Okay, so every single question is 1 mark. So there is no difference between the topics, between the questions, between the options. All of them have the same value. Okay, Francisco. So I just want you to know this because I'm going to be uploading the sample test. And you're going to have time to complete it, to do it within today until next Friday. Okay, so you can do it today, tomorrow, on Friday, and so on. You have just please find a time in which you are alone, in which you don't have distractors such as sounds, voices, I don't know, your children, your wife. Okay, find a special time in which you can have 1 hour 20 minutes to answer this test. You decide. You decide when, you decide how, you decide where. Okay, you decide even if you want to print it. I am not going to give you an answer necessary. Okay, so in the real test you will mark in the answer sheet, but right now you can decide if you want to print this and underline the answers, or you want to watch them and put the answers on your notebook. That's up to you. In the real test you will have an answer sheet. In this test is not required. Okay. Just it's very important that you do it within the time limit, because next Friday I am going to give you the answers and we're going to be analyzing in case of having doubts, in case of having problems, in case of some exercises were more difficult according to your perception than others. Mhm. Yes, Francisco, questions or problems about this extra activity that I'm lending you? It's not only for you, obviously, it's for all the teachers. All right, thank you, Francisco. So please study very, very hard. I'm going to be uploading this in Edmodo so that you can start working as soon as possible or as soon as you find the time. Okay, and remember those are questions. Obviously, they are not the same as the ones that we were practicing, but they are as you can see here. We have the options. You need to mark with the in the spaces. You need to underline the correct answer and so on. Okay, so they are very, very similar. Got it? Okay, and well, welcome Francisco and the other teachers if you're watching this video. Okay, to module number 2. So we are done with number 1. I hope you have seen the last video, which was about assessment. If you haven't, please look for it in Edmodo and watch it because that's the last topic for module 1. Today we're starting with module 2. Okay. So in module two, this module has only two parts, part one and part two. So I hope we can finish part one by Monday maximum so that we can start part two on Wednesday next week. The name of module two is called Lesson Planning and Use of Resources for Language Teaching. Okay, what is this? Well, basically, we're going to talk about planation. You know that planning is important because if you don't have a plan, then that means that you are not very well organized. Okay, we're going to go through the most basic plannings until the most formal ones, let's say. And we're going to be also looking for resources, how we as teachers can find good resources, how we can create our own resources, and so on. You know that sometimes teachers tend to have only one resource, which is the book, right? So they only go through and the book, okay, but they don't use other kind of resources. Okay, so in this case, we're going to be talking about that. How to when is the moment when we can, I don't know, record the video, okay, give them or provide them with extra feelings such as songs, movies, and so on. And obviously, as I was telling you, planning the activities we're going to be using according to our lesson, according to the subject. Okay, Francisco? So remember, planning and resources. These are going to be our objectives to get in this course. Mhm. But now let's start with number one. Planning. Unit one is called Planning and Preparing a Lesson or Sequence of Lessons. Okay. And the first thing that we need to know when planning is to identify and select aims. Okay, so what is an aim? Aims describe what we want learners to learn or be able to do or do better at the end of a lesson, a sequence of a lesson, or a whole course. Okay, so basically the aim, remember Francisco, aim is the objective of the course. What do you want your students to learn? Okay, what do you think they will be able at the end of a course, at the end of a topic, at the end of a semester to do? For example, in my case with the TKT, my aim is that you develop your skills, your strategies, that you know the basic concepts in order to pass your TKT exam, module 1, 2, and 3. That's what I want. That's my aim. Okay, and obviously that will be also your aim at the same time. Remember, aims have to do with teachers and students. Okay, so now let's go with the next. I hope this is clear, Francisco. Okay, this is very important because we might get confused when we are talking about aims. Okay, we think that they should be very educational, that they should be very, very formal, and this is not the case. Aims may not always focus on particular areas of a language. The aim of a lesson could be listening to a story for pleasure or encouraging a positive attitude toward the foreign language. Okay? To identify and select the most appropriate aims, we need to ask ourselves this question: what do learners already know, and what do they need to know? Okay, so this is very important. They don't have to be very formal. Obviously, that will depend on your school, that will depend on your principal, your coordinator, okay, and also about yourself, right? How you want to work. But you can have very simple aims. Okay, I have an example. Let's see. Have you ever heard, Francisco, the song Lemon Tree? Have you ever heard this song? I think it's from the Beatles. Have you ever heard it? Okay, so as you know, this song has many words or sentences in present continuous. So that was my topic. And then I have a day in which my aim is to listen to this song just for the mere pleasure, just because I want them to be out of the routine, that they do something different. Okay. But then my coordinator, teacher Marcos, I'm not just kidding, but then my coordinator comes to me and he asked me, teacher, what is the aim of this activity? maybe I will get like, like nervous because I will say it's just a song. Uh, there is no aim, but of course you can say, okay, the aim is listening to this song for the pleasure and encourage students to have a positive attitude toward the language. And the teacher might say, okay, that's okay, but why did you do it? What do learners already know? Okay, teacher, let me explain to you. It's because my students and we have been working on present continuous. Okay, they know what happened to the verbs. They know that the verbs change with ing. They know the ing rules. They know that we can use the verb to be I am, you are, and those are actions that are happening in a specific in a moment. Okay, they are continuous actions and so on. So that's why my learners know. Okay, what do they need to know? With this song, what do you want them to know? Okay, I want them to identify, these structures of present continuous, but I am not going to tell them. They need to discover it by themselves. How? Maybe meanwhile you are recording the song, and this there is a part that says, I am seeing just this lemon tree. So I am seeing, or I am looking at this lemon tree. Okay, then maybe one student, maybe Pablito will say, teacher, this sentence is in present continuous, right? And you might say as a teacher, yes. And maybe this is the moment in which you can explain your students that there are many songs, many videos, series, programs, etc., that have the grammar, but we don't analyze them, or they don't say it like that. I am talking about present continuous. No. So we need to identify them. Okay, and it's good that you listen to songs just for the mere pleasure. It's good, it's really nice that you increase your vocabulary, that you get used to your ear, sorry, to hearing this kind of sounds in English. Okay, but it's also important to know that most of the grammar is shown in songs. Okay, so I hope this is clear, Francisco. Okay, so aims don't have to be formal all the time. You just need to know how to answer what your students already know and what do they need to know. Okay, no problems, Francisco. Okay, okay, very good. Now I have a question for you, Francisco. Could you please describe the differences between these aims types? Here we have, Francisco, three aims types. We have in part one main aim. We have in part two subsidiary aim and personal aim. And here we have the description of each main aim. Mhm. So very short, in very short words, Francisco, I want you to explain me what is the definition or the analysis for each of these aims: main aim, subsidiary aim, and personal aim. In very short words. You don't have to write like a lot. Okay, just the main point of these aims. Okay, so go ahead, Francisco. I'm gonna leave you the time you wish. I have no problems with time. So please write. It's similar. It's a synonym. Later on, we're going to be talking the difference between objective, between achievement, between aim, between target. Later on. But yes, basically, an aim is something that you want to get, something that you want your students to improve, to learn, to practice. Okay, the objectives that you want. But with these aims, we have different types. So in this case, Francisco, I am asking you to write the description for each of these types. Look at the example. Here is the example. Here are the examples. So try to write like in very short words, like short sentences, the definition of these three types. Please, Francisco. Okay, Francisco, I see your answers. Okay, this main aim is the general sense. Okay, the subsidiary aim focus on the form. Okay, but not all the time. Okay, we're going to look at that. But yes, focus on the form. For example, the functional exponents, the vocabulary. Okay, it will be more with accuracy rather than form, because form, remember, that is just grammar, but accuracy has to do with all the aspects of the language. Uh-huh. And the personal aim is a specific topic. All right. Very good. I like your answers, Francisco. Thank you very much. And now we're going to look to the descriptions that are very similar to yours. Okay. The main aim, as you said, Francisco, is the general sense. So in this case, main aim is the most important thing we want our learner to achieve in a lesson or sequence of lessons. For example, we may want learners to understand and practice using new language. So in this case, what is the main aim? To practice making polite requests in the context of making a holiday arrangement. Example or the exponent, could you give me some information about hotels? So in main aims is what you want your students to learn, the main or the most important part of the lesson. So in this case, Francisco, the main aim most of the times have three parts. What is part number one? The action, the verb. Okay, the making polite request. Okay, so that's the most important part, the action, what you want them to be able to do. You want your students to be able to make requests, formal requests. Number two, why or for what you want your students to learn how make a polite request, because you want them to make holiday arrangements, so you need to contextualize, you need to give them why you want them to do this activity or to learn all this. Okay, and the example, this is part number three, could you give me some information about hotels? So most of main aims, and this is a recommendation for you, Francisco, I don't know if you write lesson plans in English. Do you write lesson plans in English, Francisco, or are they in Spanish? Okay, so maybe, Francisco, this time you can add these aims. Okay, main aim is making polite, that's the action. For what? For making holiday arrangements. So it's a context. And then you give the example. Could you give me some information? So most main aims have this, okay? Now, subsidiary aims shows the language, as you said, the form, or skilled learners must be able to use well in order to achieve the main aim of the lesson. Okay, so all these, as you say, the form, the language, the skill, the vocabulary, everything that will help you, these subsidiary aims will help you to get the main aim. If they don't exist, or if they don't work on this, they might not be able to get the main aim. For example, the subsidiary aim, grammar, to revise modal auxiliary verbs. Why modals? Because we're using could and would, which are modals. So they must know about them. Functional exponents, could ya, would ya, okay, all these expressions, okay. Vocabulary, to consolidate lexis for travel accommodation. So you need to know about vocabulary because you're going to make a holiday arrangement. Maybe you will know about plane, about ticket, about luggage, manager, hotel. Okay, all these vocabulary that will help you to make a holiday arrangement. Phonology, to focus on intonation. This is very important because remember, for questions you might have an intonation. Could you please help me with this? Remember, tom, pum. All right, the intonation, go up, go down. Okay, speaking to be controlled or a practice. So it's important to practice speaking because this is the moment of the interaction. If they don't, then they won't be able to make polite requests. Okay, so basically the subsidiary aims are all the objectives, all the things, not only grammar, but also functional exponents, vocabulary, phonology, phonetic, speaking, and so on, that will help you to get to the main aim. Okay, And basically, personal aim, as it says here, to improve my organization of the whiteboard, to give clear examples. This personal aim shows what we would like to improve or focus in our teaching. Sorry. So what we want to do better in our teaching. Okay, something that you say, last classes, I have been a mess. I don't know how to write on the board. I don't know how to give examples. So maybe this is your personal aim, you as a teacher. You want to improve your teaching and you want to improve many aspects. So this is your personal aim. What's your challenge as a teacher? Okay, Francisco? Very good. Sometimes, not all the times, there are some that are called stage aims. Okay, what is this describes the particular purpose of each stage or short section of the lesson. Okay, so in this case, you have activities, you have a procedure, Francisco. Each of these activities might also have its own stage. Okay, so you have a task or an activity and you have an objective for this task. Here we have an example: procedure, activities, stage aims, the achievements. In the first activity, show students pictures of various holiday destinations. Ask them to talk about their last holiday. So the stage aim in this case is to contextualize the topic of holidays. Okay, you just want to contextualize. How you want to contextualize? Because you're going to give them various holiday destinations, so you're going to provide them with different vocabulary related to destinations. You want to contextualize. Next activity: tell two short stories about holidays, one true and one untrue. Invite students to ask questions and then to guess which story is true. So you are providing them with two stories. Your objective, your aim for this activity is to give students a model for the speaking activity. Okay, so you just want to show them a sample, a model, one thing, one piece of work that they can use for their activity. Next activity: allow time for students to plan their own story, which may be true or not. So the aim in this activity is to give students time to plan their speaking. That's it. So it doesn't have to be very, very formal. You're just telling them that you're going to give them time. And the stage aim is give them time indeed. Uh-huh. And the last procedure, this is like TPP, you see? The presentation, which is this, the practice, which is this, and the presentation, which is, sorry, and the production, which is this. This is similar to this methodology. In group, students tell stories. The rest of the group ask questions and guess if the story is true or not. What is the aim? This is the production to be a little bit longer. To give students fluency practice, the first one. To provide opportunities to practice the sequence of tenses in a spoken narrative, number two. Okay, so as you can see, in the part of production, maybe it's a little bit longer because then you're going to be providing them the fluency practice and at the same time to practice their spoken narrative. Okay, Francisco? So you have the activities, you have the procedures, you have the tasks, and each of these tasks might have also an specific aim. Uh-huh. So tell me, Francisco, questions or problems about this? No? How many of these aims do you write on your lesson plan, Francisco? On your real lesson plans? Remember, we have four types: main aim, subsidiary aim, personal aim, and stage aim. Which of these tasks or sorry types of aims do you write on your lesson plans, Francisco? To be honest. Okay, very good. Me too. Me too, Francisco, indeed. I only write the main aim and subsidiary aim. I think we have the same one. We are adapted with the SEP. with the step ones. And we are only asked to write the main aim and the subsidiary aim. And in this aim, we have to talk about the content base, we need to talk about communicative skill, and so on. Very good. Tell me, Francisco, do you think it's a good idea to write a personal aim and an stage name aim, or do you think that's a waste of time? That can happen sometimes. Okay, what's your opinion about this, Francisco? Do you think that it's also a good idea to have a stage aim and a personal aim, or you think that these are not really required? Okay, the achievement and how to do it. Very good, Francisco. Me too. Me too. I have also the same planning. What's your opinion, Francis? Do you think that it's important to have a stage aim and a personal aim too? Or with the subsidiary and the main aim is more than enough? Don't worry, Francisco. Right, right. Don't worry. Okay, here we go. When you want to innovate the educative practice, it's important to take the personal aim because it's the one that provides that you are trying to do the difference. Yes, that's right, Francisco. I do agree with you. I think they are important, okay? They are not a waste of time for sure. Sometimes, well, obviously, imagine that you have to write a lesson plan every single day. Maybe that's a lot of time consuming, and you can instead of still continue writing personal aims and stage aims, you can do it with other activities, right? But that's okay. I mean, like if you have the time and if you think that it's important for the moment, for the activity, for your coordinator, for you as a teacher, do it. Why not? Okay, Francisco, good. So questions or problems about aims, Francisco? Questions or problems about this activity? Not really. All right, so now let's do an extra practice, Francisco. Okay, I'm gonna read instructions and I'm going to explain it to you. And in case of having doubts, please let me know. The procedures of the table show a sequence of activities for a lesson with the main aim of developing students' confidence and skills in reading authentic texts. The stage aims for the lesson from A to H are in the wrong order. Put them in the right order so they match to the procedures. Okay, so here we have the procedure. Remember, Francisco, those are the activities, and we have the stage aims, but they are in disorder. So try to put them in the correct order. I'm gonna give you an example. Procedure one. Students move around the classroom to find the partners with new papers headlines about the same story. Okay, so they move, they look at what story you have, and so on. Here, according to this, the stage aim is to practice deducing meaning from context, but obviously you are not deducing meanings. So the aim or the stage aim indeed is letter E, to get a student actively involved and to put students into pairs. Okay, so you have two aims, like means to make them to be involved in the activity in an active way because they need to move, and at the same time you make them to work in pairs. Okay, Francisco. So you have the activities here, you have the aims here. Try to put the from A to H in the correct order. One is already done for you. Okay. So for this activity, Francisco, maybe you will need to analyze more the keywords. So I'm going to give you 15 minutes to do it. Remember, if you finish earlier, you can let me know so that we can continue. Are you ready, Francisco? All right. 15 minutes, start now. If you have a question or a doubt, please let me know. Okay, good, Francisco. I can check your answers. Okay, so number one, we already done it. Number two, in pairs, they exchange ideas about what they find it difficult in reading an authentic test. In this case, is letter D, to use limited information to predict possible content. Okay, because they are going to use those ideas, right? That's why you're saying that number three is letter sorry number two is letter D. Number three, they say what they think their story will be about from the headlines and main notes of the main points they ask, and that's they expect to read. So for you, number three is letter C, to read for gist and to check predictions. So that means that they check in the revising, right? To check in a deep way. Uh-huh. Number four, pairs read the two newspaper stories and compare them with their notes. So for you, it's letter F, to read for more detailed information. Could be. Number five, they list the similarities and differences between the two newspaper stories. And according to you, number five is B, to check a student's understanding of what they have read and activate language. Could be, could be. Number six, they try to work out of the meanings of new words using the language that they have known in the text. Okay, so for you, this is A, to practice deducing meaning from context. Yes, so we're talking about meaning, we're talking about words. Number seven, they prepare and give short presentations on their articles to the rest of their class. So for you, that's H, to raise awareness of what the lesson aim will be, to encourage personal involvement. Okay, so could be, but in this case, I think this go before Francisco. Maybe this is for part number three, maybe, or number five. But don't worry, that's okay. We will check. Maybe you are right. And finally, number eight, teacher asks students to summarize what they have done. For you, this is G, to review the whole lesson to give the teacher's feedback. Okay, very good. So I like your answers, Francisco. Maybe I am wrong. So let's look at them. Very good. As I was telling you, Francisco, in the letter H, it was before. I think that it was number two because it says what the lesson aim will be. This cannot be possible in stage number seven if we are almost done. Okay, and besides here it says encourage personal involvement. So in this case is number two. In pair they exchange ideas about what they find difficult they're reading authentic texts. So in this case, so they might get what what the main aim is about, to relate authentic texts, right? And at the same time they can improve encourage their own involvement. So why they are involved? Because they are going to read, they are going to make comments, and so on. Okay, so here are the answers. Number three is letter C. So sorry, Francisco. In this case, is to read for gist and to check predictions. Okay, what are the predictions? Here it says, make notes of the main points they expect to read. So they make a prediction about what they might be asked. Okay, no, sorry. No, yeah, number three is to check the possible content. So it's very similar. Okay, in number four, it's letter F. You wrote letter F, and it is letter C. Because then you need to focus, you need to have a reading for gist. That means like to go through the main idea but at the same time to get the all the information about the test. Okay, number five, it's B. Okay, Francisco, you made a mistake one more time. In this case, in number five is letter F, to read for more detailed information. Francisco. Why? Because it says the similarities and difference between the newspaper stories. So you will look for more information. That's why you're going to make a list. Number six is letter A. Correct, Francisco. Excellent. Number seven, as I was telling you, is not H. Number seven is letter B. Okay, so you want to activate the language, you want to check their understanding if they are able to do the exercise 8, which is letter G, which in which you will provide feedback and you will finish the unit. Okay, Francisco, so tell me, I know this exercise was a little bit more difficult. That's why I was going to give you 15 minutes Fortunately, you finish it in 10 minutes time, so that's okay. But remember, this is a little bit more complicated. In the real exam, you are not going to have those kind of questions. This was just an extra activity. In the real exam, you're going to be asked for the aims, for the main aim, subsidiary aim, personal aim, and stage aim. You might have an example, and then you will choose, you will write the correct answer according to that example. Indeed, I have the sample test, but you're not going to do it. You're going to do it here on Friday in the class. Okay, do you agree, Francisco? So that you can rest and you can start thinking about the activity, or well, the sample test of module one. Okay, do you agree, Francisco? So that you can do this activity for homework? Sorry, for next Friday, not for homework. Excellent, Francisco. So that's all. I don't know if you have a question or a doubt or a comment about this topic, about aims. Francisco, if you have something to ask me, if you think that it's such a difficult thing to think about it. Not today, maybe on Friday. Don't worry, you can ask me on Friday before the sample test. Okay. So thank you very much, Francisco. Have a nice evening. Rest a lot. Thanks for coming, and see you on Friday from 7 to 8. I will call the teachers. I need to know if they are going to continue. I hope they will. I'm very positive with that. Thank you, teacher. Bye. Have a nice evening. See you on Friday. Bye bye.